The Elden Ring DLC has been out for a little while now, and I am enjoying it quite a bit, but I have seen a lot of comments on the internet talking about the difficulty of the DLC, and I would tend to agree. I mean, I haven't completed it yet, not even close. I've only been able to play it a couple hours here and there when I have time. But it is definitely very, very challenging. And I can understand a lot of the arguments that people have for the difficulty spike, if you will, over the base version of the game. And a majority of it has to do with just the bosses and how just relentless they are in their attacks. Like, you just feel like you just have no time to heal or even breathe in a fight. Which, I mean, I'm all for, but I feel like there has to be kind of a balance there where it's like after you execute so many perfect dodges or at least dodge enough attacks, there should be at least a little bit of breathing room to either get a heal or an attack in without them just going into the next attack pattern, if you will, and that chains a bunch of different attacks. It just gets so overwhelming that it's like I can understand why the Steam reviews right now are sitting at a mixed 60%, because it is people are not exactly happy with the difficulty spike in the DLC. This is an article that was written. This is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree at mixed reviews because it's too hard. This is from Soft Games are notoriously hard. The first Elden Ring had loads of very difficult zones and fights. But it appears Shadow of the Erd Tree may have had broken a significant amount of players, even longtime veterans. I was actually pretty surprised to see this, given that most players given FromSoft a certain amount of leeway. But Shadow of the Erd Tree reviews currently put the game at mixed on Steam, a far cry from Elden Ring's very positive. The reason being it's too hard. And yeah, so if you haven't seen the reviews over on Steam for it, last time I checked, it was at 60%. As you can see here, it is sitting at a mixed, it looks like 63%, whereas the base version of the game sits at a very positive, I believe it's like 90%. You can't view it there. But yes, it is not doing too well right now. And what people are complaining about is that, like I was kind of getting into earlier, just the relentlessness of these bosses. It's just like attack chain after attack chain after attack chain. And I've seen people going like full tank builds now with like shields that have 100% physical mitigation just to try and get through some of these boss fights because it is just absolutely insane just how often they're attacking the chains. If you get hit, and the damage they do too. It's like it's not enough that these chains are just insane for like 30 seconds. I don't know about 30 seconds, but it feels like 30 seconds when you're fighting. But then they can just basically almost one shot you, and if they don't one shot, they definitely two shot. Which I mean, I can understand having that difficulty there, but I don't know about like a new game run. I mean, maybe the new game plus 7 can have that kind of difficulty because at that point you should be familiar with it. But this feels just a little too much. I mean, I don't want to. I do kind of subscribe to the get good aspect of it. I know players like to meme on that, but it gets to a point where it's like, what point is it get past the get good to the okay, this is starting to like I be an actual problem type of deal. Like I feel like most of the people who have fought in most of these bosses have just gotten extremely lucky with the attack pattern, if you will, that they get in the boss, and the boss actually lets up for at least a second for them to heal, because I'm struggling to see anybody who is not having a hard time with at least pretty much all of the main bosses. I mean, I've seen a couple of people do pretty well on some of the main bosses, like one or two deaths. But for the most part, it's been quite a few deaths on every boss. And I mean, there's Kai who's been doing it, and he's up to like almost 500 deaths, I think, at this point. I haven't watched in a while, but I think that's what he's at now, just for the DLC alone. And it's just like, bro, he's not even anywhere near the end of the game either. So, and it's just a DLC. And so I would agree. I think overall that the difficulty might be a little too high. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for difficulty, but it kind of feels like it's a little too much. The damage they deal is a little too much. Their health bars are a little too big. I feel like it just needs to be tweaked a little bit, and then it would probably put the game in a much better state. I mean, people can still do the summons and stuff, but I mean, most people, I mean, if they're like me, they don't want to be summoning different summons in the fight. They just want to fight themselves because it's supposed to be like a 1v1 type style. And so, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what FromSoft does here in the hopefully in the first coming week or two here. If they feel like they're going to make any updates or not. I mean, we'll see. If there's enough backlash, I'm sure they'll make some changes. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about the DLC down in the comments. If you've been having difficulty with it, because I definitely have. I've been getting my butt handed to me pretty much every time I play the game. It's been bad, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do in the future with the tuning of the DLC. But anyway, if you guys liked the video, make sure to leave a like, and I hope to see you guys around. Peace.